hi. Hello, anybody that pops up by. I didn't do a starting soon screen today. I just want to jump in and read the thing. Read the thing. Just read the thing. But hope everybody had a cool, awesome day today. I didn't really do that much. Watched a couple episodes of the new season of You. Wrote a little bit for a script, which I'll probably finish right after this stream is done and over with. But yeah, I had a very exciting day, unfulfilling day. I was actually just gonna play Black Myth Wukong, but I don't know, I just wanted to do this instead. Be quiet. No, I see you growling. What's wrong? What's wrong, princess? She's in like any noise at the door. But yeah, I was thinking about playing Black Myth Wukong, but I don't know. I felt more emotionally invested to do this. I'm not sure about that. I might stop streaming for another week or for the rest of the month, maybe. It depends. I really need to get these audios recorded and start editing. And I have no time to do it. Or when I do it at the time, I get tired or lazy. So I gotta buck her down, get things done. Gotta get her done. Let's start the game. So we can try to have at least 2 hours to this time. Right, so last night we had that very emotional encounter with Maria and Rosa. And it's so sad. It's so sad. Maria is such a good girl. She doesn't deserve any of that. And right now we are back in the world in 1998, so we are off the game board yet again. So let's see what we have in store. I had planned on taking a nap, but the boat really was shaking bad. I gave up on sleeping and went up onto the deck. There, I was welcomed by the shining sun and a strong sea breeze. Amakusa, been doing some stretches on the deck. He must have had a lot of time on his hands too. After all, it'll be several more hours before we reach Nijima. It would only have taken a couple dozen minutes by airplane, but there was the chance that the Nijima airport was under the Sundara family's web. Wait, really? How big is this Yakuza? The harbor would probably be the same. For that reason, I had obtained a boat that would let me land while avoiding the harbor, no questions asked. I bumped into a cheery boat captain, piled him generously, and he had decided to help me out, amused. Go. Still, gonna be a while. I just asked the captain, and it sounds like it'll take a full 2 hours more. Well, beggars can't be choosers. The weather sure is nice. Feels like I'll burn. Gonna read on the deck? You'll damage your book. Amakusa apparently thought this because I was clutching Maria One-chan's diary under my arm. I've been reading it half asleep, which was why I come back up still clutching it. How's it going? Think you'll be able to find the truth of Rokunojima from Maria-san's diary? Who knows? No matter how much I investigate what happened on that island, it won't make for anything more than a theory. There's no truth written in the message bottles or One-chan's diary. Just a fairy tale with a witch walking around. I'm stuck. Looks like you got nothing to look forward to except questioning more involved on Njima. I imagine the witch hunters that shower them with questions over and over. So I'm pretty sure I won't find any new facts. So, even though your hopes are that low, you're willing to spend a half-a-day trip on a boat to go to Najima. Anyway, talk about fickle. It's like a journey of self-satisfaction, so that I can say I investigated. I'm not so naive as to seriously think that the truth of 12 years ago will be revealed. And when you're done with your self-satisfaction trip, what will you do next? Who knows? I haven't thought about it. I'll go to Najima, ask some people who were involved. Then, after going to Rokunojima in the end, and leaving some flowers, my journey will be over. Several days have already passed since this journey began. After being told by Burn Castle on the roof of that building to search for the truth of 12 years ago, I left on a journey like trying to grasp a cloud. At the time, I felt as though I experienced something mystical and had the feeling that I might be able to grasp some kind of miracle at the end of this journey. But after several days passed, my excitement died down. On that day, when I stood on the roof of that skyscraper, my heart was completely cornered and dead. So I wanted from the bottom of my heart to be released from the cage of my body and rise into the sky. I had crossed the fence in order to die. Maybe experiencing the desire to die and actually stepping forward, throwing my body down, caused some kind of mystical experience inside my head, making me think I received a message from a witch. The excitement from my jump lessened over time, and the more I came back to my senses, the more this journey lost its meaning. But I didn't even consider suspending this journey just because of that. If I stopped this journey, it'll mean acknowledging that the message from the witch was an illusion. And I felt as though that meant throwing away the promise the witch made. Any chance that someone from my family might come back. So, because it was hard to believe that those events were an illusion, I've continued my journey. I don't seriously believe that this journey will change anything. It's even up to me when this journey ends. It's up to me to choose where the final destination is. In the end, this journey is only for my self-satisfaction. Oh, you'll learn a couple things, Anji. Self-satisfaction, huh? That sounds bad when you say it. But I think that's actually what life is all about. Oh? If that's the answer you reach after hovering over the line between life and death in the mercenary business. That's probably pretty deep. Don't take it so lightly. What I'm trying to say is that the only one who can acknowledge you in this world is yourself. Amakusa continued, stretching as he spoke. In a irrational, what? Fresh way? Hearing it told to me as though from a teacher made me instinctively want to resist. But what he was saying was extremely sensible. That may be true. People work hard when they want to be acknowledged by someone. In most cases, that someone is their parents. Children learn how to work hard because they want to be praised by their parents. Although, that's why I never learned. Sorry. That's not how I meant it. What I'm trying to say is that there's nothing wrong with self-satisfaction. No matter who praises you, it's meaningless unless you can accept it. Turning it around, even if no one praises you, that doesn't matter as long as you can accept it. Self-satisfaction tends to contradict a desire to improve oneself, so we are usually taught that it's bad. Somehow, your argument seems like a pretty fresh take on it, Amakusa. Amakusa? The anguish of the human world comes when you want someone to acknowledge you, but you don't know what it is you should be striving for. I had time like that too. I wanted to be acknowledged by someone, but I didn't know what I wanted them to acknowledge about me. And since I didn't know what to strive for, or how far I should go to be acknowledged, I did a lot of crazy things. And the answer you reached was self-satisfaction. It sounds bad, but that's how it is. Rich is the one who is content with what they are, they say. Yeah, I don't fully agree, but I understand the message. If I'm satisfied with my life, it doesn't matter what other people say. It's the same for you. It's the same for your life and for this journey. No one has any right to criticize you other than yourself, Anji-san. You're the only one who determines the meaning and results of your journey. It's been a meaningful journey for you, then that's more than enough. I was to take you for a flippant ladies' man. But you really do say weird things every once in a while. No, but you think saying stuff like that will make you popular. Of course not, of course not. That's not how I meant it at all. Looks like you want to be alone. I'll head over to see the boat captain. Please, take it easy. Amakusa apparently decided I was in a bad mood. Although I didn't feel that way myself. Or he might have finished a set of stretches and wanted to cool off in the shade. The sea winds were strong, but not enough to cool the rays of the sun. Amakusa disappeared. Only I remained. Self-satisfaction is life itself, huh? Man! That's just boring. Well, of course the demon agreed will say that. Life is nothing without greed. I noticed that Mammon has suddenly appeared, her abundant hair fluttering over the prow of the ship. It's true that a life of greed would be fun. But unlike you, humans have a limited lifespan. If greed is eternal, that means a person has desires, even in the last moments before they die. Having desires mean there's nothing that you want. There's something that you want. Something you don't have. Some way you aren't complete. I'm sure it's tough to die when you can't think of your life as being a full one. So I'm sure self-satisfaction is necessary. I see. Because of the existence of a lifespan, you have to compromise like that. My masters have very long lifespans, so I never thought of it. I wonder if humans live for the purpose of becoming satisfied. If so, it's probably easiest to live without desires. I see. So that's why greed is one of the 7 deadly sins. Your praises honor me. Apparently that counted as a compliment in Mammon's eyes. She turned and gave a graceful bow. Do humans live so that they can find satisfaction at the moment of their deaths? Wouldn't it be pretty tough if you felt you were lacking something when you died? If so, then humans live only so they can meet a satisfying death? They live so that they can have a better death? They live so that they can die. This kid's saying something pretty incredible. And scary, but yeah, kinda true. I see, as I expect from a demon's fake. However, it might be the truth. Humans suffer because they aren't satisfied, and live only to find satisfaction. In other words, that might be the same as desires to die satisfied. I can't counter that. People live in order to be satisfied, and they hope to die that way. So, it's really painful when you don't know how to find that satisfaction. Just how can you find something like that in a human's life? By being acknowledged. By hearing someone say, you're happy. If it doesn't matter who acknowledges them, then I'll do it. Yeah, that's the problem. People don't know who needs to acknowledge them. So, searching for this person can acknowledge them is the journey of their life? It sounds strange. Whether you acknowledge or not, it supposedly doesn't change your circumstances. And yet, if you are acknowledged, you'll be satisfied. While if you aren't, then you won't. It's almost like the blue bird. Because you can't notice the blue bird even though it's already in the cage. You have to go out on a journey, searching everywhere. What the heck? Humans' lives are pretty stupid. That's right, this is true. Amakusa said something really good. Rich is the one who is content with what they are. Was it? I don't know what that proverb came from, but it's deep. Basically, If you can't find enough satisfaction unless someone else acknowledges you, that's the same as not acknowledging yourself. The ultimate in self-fulfillment is acknowledging yourself. That's right. Because if you can know that you're fully satisfied, there's no need to be acknowledged by anyone. Just by taking notice of the small things, the human's foolish journey of life can be ended easily. You can spend the rest of your life playing and having a good time. A human's life is so ridiculous. Madman's choice of words was bad, but it was surely the truth. If most of a human's life is a journey with the hopes that someone will acknowledge them so that they can achieve a satisfied death, then when they realize that that person doing the acknowledging isn't someone else, but they themselves, that pointless journey can end. Humans who have ended that journey can probably spend the rest of their lives as they wish, with their heads held high. How noble, how praiseworthy could that be? You know, if Amakusa on pretty bad terms with his parents, that makes sense. Any decent parent will want him to get the hell out of the trade he's in. Does that really matter though? As long as it's fun for the person in question. Exactly. That's what it comes down to in the end. Criticism formed by the observations of other people doesn't matter. If your existence is firmly acknowledged by you yourself, then that's enough. If you can live with confidence in yourself, you'll surely be able to accept and be satisfied with any kind of lifestyle. I'm sure Amakusama will eventually eat a stray bullet on the battlefield and get seriously injured. He might even die. But I don't think he viewed it as something unfair. I'm sure he'll cackle about how that's also part of life. What a great way to live. I could fall for that guy. Pitiful humans who can't acknowledge themselves wander about searching for that their whole lives, and without anything being accepted, they do nothing but grumble and die while still unsatisfied. How pitiful. Compared to people whose lives drag on without any purpose. Amakusa is more likely to eventually die by the roadside, but I think he's more noble for living his life with his head held high. Aren't the winners in life those who achieve enlightenment? If they can do that even a little sooner, they'll be able to live that much more of their life efficiently. With Mammon's words, I finally accepted a certain fact. In the past, I call that girl unusual, a little strange. However, that wasn't true. All she did was keep her head held high and finish that journey faster than anyone else. Let me stop. Okay. Maybe that's what made Maria One-chan so amazing. When she was at the age where she might or might not enter the first year elementary school, she has already reached that point. For the people like us, looking at her life from the outside, it wasn't something, well, we call blessed. But even though days like that were engraved in her diary, they always finish up by saying that it was a happy day. Even though... Turn this down a second. Even though the part of her mother that didn't love her daughter came and went, she believed that her mother loved her. The mother's love that didn't exist, she created herself, filling her world with love. Others might observe her as an unsatisfied, pitiful girl, but she herself acknowledged that she was satisfied. And so, she was happy that way. It's easy to observe that as something pitiful and sad, but to her, that was an outsider's opinion, so it didn't matter. Whether or not it was happy for her was the only important thing. It's just like how, when people who live in the city point to the lifestyle of those in rural areas and mourn their inconvenience and feel sympathy for them, it's really none of their business. If those who live there, they're satisfied with what they have, that's more than enough. I finally noticed something. I noticed it just now. I did something horrible to Maria One-chan. And to you all, and Saktaro as well, on that day. Whether magic exists or not, that's up to the other people to decide. Oh, I'm sorry. That's not up to other people to decide. It's up to you yourself. Whether magic exists to Maria One-chan is a problem for Maria One-chan to decide, not me. And yet, when I was young on that day, I said it. By saying there was no magic, there's no way that magic exists, I hurt her. The fact that magic doesn't exist in my eyes matters in my world. But denying it even One-chan's world for that reason was totally misguided. Mariage Sorcery is the Witches' Alliance Maria One-chan created. I was invited into it and told to become a witch with them. Thinking it a new, interesting game, and went along with that for a while. But because of the cruelty of youth, I got tired of it halfway through, and I tore her pure heart apart with sharp words. At that time, it must have gotten into a huge fight. I forgot about it right away, but she couldn't forget about it. After all, to her, magic was a natural power that really existed, and she believed that she'd be able to share it with me. To Maria One-chan, magic is a power that can interpret the world as blessed. No, which can truly make everything blessed. She just wanted to share that with me too. The young me tore that feeling apart. So, she closed herself up in a shell, assuming that she wouldn't be able to share her magic with anyone. If that's true, then Lady Maria's journey through life wasn't over after all. If she'd been able to accept herself, then there would be no need to collapse just because you denied her, Auntie-sama. One-chan was young. She still hadn't reached a philosophical viewpoint like Amakusa. Yeah, now I understand. That's why the Witches' Alliance called Mariage Sorcery was necessary. An alliance where each acknowledges that the other is a witch. That's right. I'm pretty sure that was the first article in the agreement of Mirage Sosure. Witches of the Alliance would acknowledge each other and respect each other. That's the deepest and only meaning of the Witches' Alliance. Maria One-chan wanted to share with me the secret laws to make the world happy, called magic. But I was young, and she was too. I hurt her with innocent cruelty. That day, I said cruel things to you all, Saktaro. I said there was no way you exist. How rude. We acknowledge that we exist ourselves. We are not unlike humans, with our souls half asleep. I think, therefore I am. Wherever you acknowledge or deny magic, the existence of the magic called the 7 states of purgatory is a fact. As long as we acknowledge it ourselves, to borrow your words. It surely would be violence for another person like me to deny it. I'm sure that'd be like having your true mother yell, "I wish you'd never been born." No. Disappear. Even after being slammed by all those words. Maria One-chan's magic made her believe in her mother's love. Saktaro, her magic friend, always encouraged her. He kept saying that her mother loved her, that she was coming home late because of her work, and that she would definitely bring back a present. Even after Maria learned that her mother's work wasn't really the cause, magic allowed her to continue believing. And by believing that her mother loved her, by acknowledging herself, she filled her world with love and peace and serenity, establishing it completely. What happened 12 years ago? What happened to my family? This was never a journey to search for that. Then what kind of journey is this? It was a journey to apologize to Maria One-chan for what happened that day. I don't know why, but that's what I think. If I hadn't hurt her, the incident 12 years ago might not have occurred. And that's what I think. I have no basic for it. I don't know a clue how hurting One-chan could be connected with that mysterious incident several years later. But for some reason, I can't imagine that there's no connection. A witch caused that accident, that incident. And the culprit is the Golden Witch Beatrice. And Beatrice was part of the Mirage Sosure Alliance of Witches. I horribly hurt the other witch of that alliance. I hurt her with the thought that magic doesn't exist. So, several years later, a crime caused by a witch occurred. In a 2-day period that couldn't be explained with anything but magic was thrust into my face, thanks to the message bottle. There's no way I wasn't involved somehow. I don't get it. It could be coincidence, or it could be fate. For some reason, I'm starting thinking like that on this journey. And what's your bias for it? I have none. I just think it's true. The Japanese sure are interesting. Even when they are the victims, they feel as though they did something wrong and apologize for no reason. I can understand if you said, I hate Beatrice for stealing my family, or something. But you really are weird. Feeling guilty for no reason and apologizing? Of course I hate Beatrice. I couldn't continue this journey without that feeling. But it's okay to choose yet another purpose for this journey. There's nothing wrong with adding on a goal of apologizing for the past sins, in addition to getting revenge on a witch for what happened 12 years ago. I can at least go to Rokunejima, apologize for my reckless remarks, and offer flowers. Why are you staring at me? No. There's something better than flowers. I think that would be more fitting for One-chan. What's better than flowers? What you got? I stood up, not minding that the sea breeze scattered my hair and concentrated my mind. Oh, her diary, probably. I lifted up my palm to the height of my head, imagining a vast space. Be quiet. Is she gonna summon them? Is she gonna bring him back? Is she gonna bring him back? Come, arise. I am the witch apprentice, Angie Beatrice. I was excommunicated, but I was once a member of the same alliance, and you are the dearly missed furniture who played with me. Answer to my call. It was hard to tell in the middle of the day, but a faint blue light gathered around the palm of my hand. Then, Sakataro's form was revived. It truly did bring back memories. That figure. His cute ears, his bright red muffler. It came off easily, so One-chan faithfully rewrapped it all around. Rewrapped it all the time, didn't she? Sakataro! Look at him! Do you recognize me? Do you know who we are? Yeah! With a sleepy face as though waking up from a long slumber. Sakataro looked all around him as he spoke. It's been a long time, Sakataro. I'm pretty sure this is the first time I summoned you with my own power. And now, I am the only one who can summon you. Those words might have been a bit cruel. Sakataro's face clouded over. In the past, I denied you. Now that I summoned you, it means I accepted your existence. Are you sure? Is it really alright for me to be summoned into Angie's world? His eyes were a bit frightened. It was only natural. I, who had played with him like a friend before, had suddenly denied him and tried to burn him with the magic resisting toxin. It was only natural that he was scared. I apologize for that day. To you, too, Mammon. And to the rest of you. At some point, the rest of the 7 sisters had gathered on the deck. No, they're always there. Always by my side. As long as I acknowledge that, it's okay for them to be there. They'll always appear. You certainly do exist. Lucifer, and Leviathan, and Satan, and Belphegor, and Mammon, and Beelzebub, and Asmodeus, and... Are you sure? You're one challenging Beatrice-sama, Anji-sama. Is it okay for one in position of denying witches to acknowledge us? As whether magic exists or not in my world, sorry, but let me put that on hold. It's not like I myself acknowledge the existence of magic. But then doesn't that contradict the fact that you are acknowledging us? It's because magic exists for people who believe, even if I don't. If someone believes, then magic will exist in the human world. That fact won't change in the slightest whether I believe in magic or not. No, it mustn't change. That person just had to hold their head up high and believe in their own magic. I acknowledge that. So, it wouldn't be strange at all for sorry. So it wouldn't be strange at all for all of you to exist. Quite a play of words. That is interesting interpretation. What you're saying, Anji-sama, is probably a devil's proof. A devil's proof? Right! To prove the existence of demons, you just need to find one. But is it possible to deny the existence of demons? And we're here. That means that whether Anji-sama believes in magic or not, our existence is unshakable. The magic-resisting toxin is disappearing from Anji. You're right. Even though you're in a position of denying magic, why? And that's probably because I learned what it means to respect and acknowledge. Right now, I might be able to understand the depths of Maria One-chan's and Beatrice's magic. In the past, I didn't believe in things like magic. Thinking something like that could exist, I acted like I was closing my eyes tightly. It couldn't see anything. But now, I'm different. I get the feeling I can look right at the thing called magic and close in on its true nature. How frustrating. It is truly rare to find a human so free of the magic-resisting toxin in this day and age. And she has such an uncommon genius for being a witch. That's right. If Anji-sama tried to become a witch right now, she could grow to be a great witch, maybe even at Beatrice-sama's level. Even so, she has acknowledged our existence and is our master. Most likely, Anji-sama will be our final master. We'll think of this as our final service and apply ourselves to the fullest. Blah. I just can't stand that Anji-sama still doesn't believe in magic herself. Anji-sama, please believe in magic too. It feels like a waste to finally have a master and not have it be a witch. Even though you have outstanding talent that could make you one of the greatest witches, your goal is to attack witches. It's so frustrating. Well, even so, that's your life, the way you live. And in the world where you decide that, there's nothing we can do to complain. Thanks for understanding me. Yeah, whether magic exists to me or not, it's up to me to decide. Regardless of witches, whether witches actually exist or not in the world. Sorry. Something is attacking my toes. Like, ah! Stop biting my toes! Stop chewing the carpet. Why are you doing that? Regardless of whether magic actually does exist somewhere in the world or not. When I think about this world is so vast and yet so small. Billions of people live on Earth, but I probably won't even meet 1% of those people. Even so, I will speak of a world, my world, which doesn't even know even 1% of the world. I'm not qualified to deny the laws of a world I don't know. So, just because magic doesn't exist in my world, I can't deny that magic exists in a world I don't know. That makes it a true devil's proof. No, maybe it's more like, when it roams, do as the Romans do. Yeah, I might not believe in magic, but if I go to someone's house that believes in magic, I guess I should believe in magic. I can be confident in the world I know. So even if that's denied by a complete stranger who doesn't know anything about my world, there's something to worry about. In the same way, I got no right to deny a world I don't know. Just because I don't know about it. Therefore, regardless of whether there's magic in my world or not. It's mine! That's such a rare sight! It's such a rare sight. Come here. Why are you chewing on the carpet? One second, guys. Hey, what are you reading? Sorry, she's the dog acting like the Flash in here. Therefore, regardless whether there's magic in my world or not, I can't deny the magic Maria Oni-chan taught me. Uryu! After all, even if you haven't seen it, magic exists. Yes. That's why I've already said, you're friends of the Witches Alliance. Can't be denied by me or anyone else. I proclaim that most important part again. Even through the sea breeze and the crashing of the waves were noisy, it was a time of silence. Both Sakataro and the Seven Sisters of Purgatory reflected upon my words, and probably I did too. Does magic exist? Do witches exist? While ignoring what the answer would be for my own world, I acknowledged their existence. That contradiction was what I proclaimed so boldly. Thank you, Angie. If you acknowledge that much, can't you acknowledge witches too? No, that was a foolish question. You already have a clear answer to it. Sorry. Though I do acknowledge that witches might exist somewhere in this world, but that doesn't shape my world. I won't acknowledge witches or magic. You'll definitely expose the truth of Rokunejima. Come here. Dog's on crack. Right. That's my world. Even if a real witch exists, I won't acknowledge it in my world. No matter how much that witch tries to convince me. Your position is to attack witches, Anji-sama. And I understand well that you haven't the slightest wavering in that feeling. We are your furniture, the 7 sticks of purgatory. The Seven Sisters of Purgatory. We will always be by your side. We will always be waiting for the day that we can be useful. Although, since you don't believe in magic, we can never be anything more than people to talk to. And that's enough for now. We've been left room to exist. For that alone, we should thank and acknowledge Anji-sama. In short, all of us are all together again. Aww. Thank you. When Saktaro was overcome with emotion and tears came to his eyes, the Seven Sisters closed in and mobbed him. They were also celebrating a long missed reunion. If their existence is permitted, they're definitely capable of existing here. No. Even if I don't permit it, they can exist. Because I acknowledge them. They show their reunion's joy to me as well. As I watched over the scene, I reflected over what this journey of mine meant. What did it mean? What did it mean? What did it mean? What did it mean? I wonder if everyone will forgive me this way. You've done enough. We are furniture. Just being summoned, just being allowed to be by your side makes us happy. Ryu, Angie, thank you very much. Come to think of it, why was I able to summon Saktaro? No, it's the other way around. Why wasn't One-chan able to summon Saktaro? Maria One-chan had disappeared, thinking that Saktaro had died, which meant she hadn't been able to summon him like this anymore. In the past, One-chan said it was more advantageous in a summoning to have a vessel. However, a vessel is like training wheels. It shouldn't be absolutely necessary. In other words, even if the stuffed animal lion that was Saktaro's vessel didn't exist, it should have been possible to summon him. No, when you put it like that, it's even a little doubtful whether summoning things can be limited by life and death. Moreover, Saktaro should have been an especially important friend to Maria One-chan. She should have been able to strive hard to summon him one more time. It certainly was sad that the original stuffed animal vessel had been torn apart. But why did he die and become impossible to summon again? Is Maria gonna come? Oh. That's because at that time, Maria saw my stuffed animal torn and decided that I died. It's the same as the existence of magic. If Saktaro had died in Lady Maria's world, then he can't exist in her world. Oh no, Saktaro. The shock of having her beloved stuffed animal torn apart had left a wound in her heart serious enough to prevent her from summoning her irreplaceable close friend. In Maria One-chan's eyes, Saktaro died. So even if Saktaro can exist like this to me, he cannot exist before her. I was always with Maria. When Maria cried, I was always right beside her, telling her not to cry. But my form, my voice, nothing in me will reach Maria now. Saktaro hung his head, looking sad. After that incident, the nature of Mirage sorcery rapidly began to change. Before then, the alliance was a peaceful thing. But after that incident, it grew full of shadier things, focusing on how to curse people you hate. One-chan's diary began to show a clear change. A diary is a mirror that reflects one's heart as it is. It probably showed the personality called Maria die and be reborn as the evil witch personality Maria. Oh, it's okay. They probably show the personality called Maria die and be reborn as the evil witch personality Maria. Oh. I get it. When she buried that diary in hatred and sadness, her heart surely wasn't satisfied. Because it wasn't satisfied, she had to bury it with hatred and sadness. And while still unsatisfied, she met with death. I wonder if her soul has a hole open in its chest from sadness even now. It continually wanders, dripping tears down and calling Saktaro's name. Oni-chan needs you. What can I do to revive you in Maria Oni-chan's world? If I can learn that method, I'll be able to save Oni-chan. That's the method of atonement I've been given. What can be done to revive Saktaro? To Maria, my vessel had a very important meaning. The vessel? In other words, if we could revive the lion stuffed animal. But Mama Rosa made the stuffed animal herself, so only she could make it. Even inside the diary, Maria Oni-chan had asked this of Beatrice, and she refused for that reason. The magical significance of a stuffed animal being unique and handmade is very large. Then, if you could make the same thing once more, Don Rosa is already gone from this world. You can't make the same thing again. Was there ever another identical stuffed animal made, or anything like that? He's a stuffed animal made to be Lady Maria's birthday present, and is the only one of his kind in the world. A handmade and unique vessel. That's why it conceals a great magical power. And if lost, it cannot be attained again. It won't be revived. Because she knew that, Maria Oni-chan watched that stuffed animal, which was unique in that world, get torn apart, and despaired. Because it was the only one of his kind in the world, and she couldn't permit a compromise such as buying another one. She had despaired from the bottom of her heart. And Jinko will love this. Saktaro is right here. Even without a vessel, he's here. Because I acknowledge that he certainly exists in my world. Even if Maria One-chan doesn't acknowledge him, that cannot be denied. Right? Logically, that's true. But I think using the same logic to make Lady Maria accept him could be difficult. Maria, I'm not dead. I'm right here. I'm sure that on Rokunejima, I'll be able to reunite with Maria One-chan. And no matter what, I'll revive the you that's inside Maria One-chan and let you be reunited. Can you do it? It'll probably be hard. Just like how I had to be invited into the Witches' Alliance. I rejected it without understanding what it meant. She might also reject your existence. But I got to do it. That's the only way I can atone for my sins. Enji-sama. What's waiting on Rokujima? And what will happen? What will be created? Or maybe nothing will happen. That island, which was the beginning of everything, is the final destination of this journey. You all are my furniture of a witch. As your master, I have to take you home. To the Witch's Island. To Rokunejima. That was a good way to end the chapter. Is the chapter in? Or we get... Oh, no. Keep going. Even though the rays of the sun had been so strong, at some point, clouds had started to hang down. The spray that hit my cheek might not all have come from crashing waves. Anji-san, so we are gonna get a bit of a shower. Maybe you better go below deck. Amakusa called out to me with an expression that said, "Oh, you're still here?" When I looked up, I saw that the island silhouette had gotten much larger. We might reach land very soon. I remember that the weather report had mentioned scattered rains. The sky wasn't dark enough for rain clouds. It'll probably be just for a short time. Even though the rain was light enough not to be pain. Having rain start to fall as we approached the island felt like some kind of fate. It was raining on October 4th, 1986 as well. I'm approaching the Rokunejima of that day, not just in distance. I went back down with Amakusa. He was carrying what looked like a really large and heavy golf bag. It was something Amakusa had brought back with him on a day when we split up. I didn't inquire as to its contents, but it was hard to imagine that they were anything peaceful. I won't go so far to ask what's inside, but it looks heavy. Why are these things so darn heavy all the time? A French instructor taught me something interesting about that once. He said they should always be heavy. After all, a human life is heavier than the world. So these should have been heavier. It'd be nice if you didn't need to use them. That would be nice. Amakusa set the golf bag like luggage down beside him. Was it guns? Probably guns. Alright, we're at Nijima. A two-propeller aircraft touched down on the runway. Considering the weather, it couldn't have been a pleasant flight. Everything after this flight had been suspended due to weather. Oh no. Okay, the same airport that they were back in 12 years ago, but now it's this bitch. Cutting through the drizzle as they traversed the runway, Samadara Kasumi entered the lobby with two black suits as guards. The four black suits who had been waiting inside the lobby stood up and respectfully lowered their heads in salute. Kasumi-sama! Propeller planes certainly do shake. I wouldn't want to ride one again. We can have a car prepared. Please, this way. They got into two luxury cars that had been rented. And you should be heading for Rokunajima, a deserted island. How convenient. You arrange for some tools, I take it? Oh, why do you say it like that? Why? The black suit in the passenger seat put a heavy bag that had been set by his feet onto his lap. Opened the catch with a click and showed Kasumi what was inside. Inside were several silver lumps of carefully wrapped aluminum foil. He peeled one open to show her. A black, blunt atomic pistol peeking his face. Oh, okay, we got the guns. We got guns. Dude, this music. All right, that's the end of that chapter. Okay, turn the button up this cold camera. All right, the clock is moving. I don't think I ever heard this theme before. Ooh, I like it. Alright, back to the game board. October 4th, 1986. The first day. Wow, it's so hard to believe we're still only on the first day of the game board. It was already approaching 10 o'clock at night. By now, the typhoon had wrapped itself around Rokunajima. Even the rose garden had looked so beautiful midday, was beaten down upon by the fierce winds and resisted with all its might, undulating and trying to keep the flowers from blowing away. In that rose garden was Shannon in the lead, Battler holding up an umbrella, Jessica and George carrying the sleeping Maria on his back, all heading to the guest house. Alright, so we're skipping the dinner, it looks like. We can at least make it to the guest house from here. Shannon-chan, it's fine if you go back and rest. Don't worry. Seeing you off is also part of my duty. The family conference is going on inside. And Mom and Genji-san are probably getting stressed. If we keep you, they'll misunderstand and think you're being lazy. That's right. Just gracefully accepting our offer might be the best way to avoid burdening people. Not at all. Certainly, as Milady has said, it is very tense inside the mansion today. Therefore, coming with all of you, allow me a breath of fresh air, and I've been able to relax a bit. The family conference, huh? They went to all the trouble of chasing us kids out, so they're probably talking about something shady. Probably. I'm sure there's nothing we can do to help out. Just trying to stay out of their way is probably the best way for us to be useful. I'm sure it's all just money, money, money. Even though they act like they are so rich, most of the time, when it gets tough, they all start getting pushy. Why don't they just be graceful and split it evenly between everyone? Do you know your family? That'd be awesome. It'd be nice if I got a share too. If I got something too, I flew with Shannon-chan right away. Thank you very much. Well, I appreciate the sentiment. Why do you appreciate it? What do you appreciate? Are you hiding something? Shannon isn't greedy at all. Normally, girls of your age would have tons of things they want to buy. I guess. But none of the things I want can be bought with money. Ooh. How unselfish. If you lined up all the things I wanted, all the gold in the world wouldn't be enough. That's if you're talking about things that can be bought with money. I wonder what these things that can be bought with money that Shannon wants are. Do you have any idea? George Nissan? Aw. Stop teasing them. Well, I wonder. I'm not Shannon, so how could I know? I don't know either. George and Shannon looked down, their faces red. Battler had also heard about what was going on with them, so he knew what Jessica was teasing them about. George Nikki is a person I can respect. I think he met up with a very great person, Shannon-chan. Yeah. I was very relieved that we can leave Shannon to George Nissan. Stop teasing. It's a serious issue for us. More importantly, what about you, Jessica-chan? Have you been able to get a little closer to Kanen-kun? What? So you and Kanen-kun are like that? Well... Dirty, George. Don't do the conversation around like that. Dirty. No, it wasn't that bad. Come on, be a fair sport. Be a fair sport. As they had an anime discussion with ups and downs, the four kids headed for the guest house. The annual family conference was extremely important to the Ushimiya family, and this year seems like it was going to be especially important. Apparently, the family head, Kinzo, was personally going to be making a very serious announcement. And everyone, other than the adults, had been strictly ordered to leave. Battler didn't attend the family conference in 6 years, so he didn't really notice. But according to Jessica, there seemed to be a very tense atmosphere tonight. Completely different from a normal year. Common sense made it clear that Kinzo, whose remaining life was short, was going to make some big announcement about the succession of the headship and the distribution of his fortune. It's been a minute since we've seen you. What do you call him again? True Battler, Meta Battler. But I'm surprised. Do you think the grandfather's actually gonna make an appearance? I see. So this is the witch's counterattack. Dun, 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 dun. Now we are playing Golden's near your ear. This is the best pieces of music in this game.
金蔵というジョーカーはもう少し伏せていたかったところだが、そろそろ切るのが頃合いであろう。切り札は切るためにある。
I want to leave the Joker called Kinzo face down a little longer, but it's probably about time to turn it over. Trump cards exist to be used. Damn. My theory that grandfather was dead since the beginning, and a different 18th person has snuck in, is now suddenly torn apart. I have foreseen that you began to doubt Kinzo eventually. Yes, now that your reasoning has all gone back to square one again, right? With this, your theory that Kinzo was dead at the very beginning, and I was hiding as 18th person goes poof. Fuck. But no way I'll lose heart. That's the only one theory gone. I'll attack you like a storm, like a tornado. I have it no other way. Even the first twilight has not yet begun. It's far too early to give up. That's right. It's not like it was denied with the right truth. At this very point in time, Butler's theory hasn't been defeated. It's too early to say that you've won. Yeah, that's right. It's still too early for me to just swallow her story. Grandfather is supposed to finally appear. But there's a chance that they'll talk about how his health has gotten worse, and he won't appear after all. Uncle Kraus might be trying desperately to hide the fact that grandfather really is dead until the last second. I see. I see. You could also think of it that way. Do as you please. It will be resolved soon. Very soon. Alright, okay, we're going back to the dining room. All the relatives and Nanjo could be seen in the dining hall. Nanjo sat alone, quietly watching the wind and rain outside. Kurao sat down in the seat of his own rank, with Natsuhi standing motionlessly at his side. The other siblings were gathered at the opposite end of the long table, whispering to each other. Is that true? Yeah. Maria said the person who gave her the umbrella was father. What in the world? In other words, our strategy has collapsed from the roots. Not just our strategy. Since father is healthy and has said that he'll make an announcement himself, our trivial bargaining with Nissan was completely pointless. Yeah. That old bastard. Why can't you just show himself right away without making a show of it? Thanks to that, we've just been quarreling with Aniki uselessly. Or maybe he wanted to test us on that point. I might not be one to talk, since we aren't related by blood. But your father is very intelligent, correct? Our argument during the day were probably overheard by one of the servants and reported to father. Incredible. The fact that we are making a fuss with father's inheritance, as our goal is now right in the open. Ava uncharacteristically held her head, dejected. If, as Kiri had said, everything had been going according to Kinzo's plan from the beginning, and if this was a huge setup that had been kept up for over a year, trying to find the siblings' true intentions, then they have fallen for it completely. We still don't know for sure that it's father's ears. It has reached father's ears. No, it definitely has. Everyone but Nissan claimed that the father was dead, and none of us believe it. Father's good health. It's already over. Father will make an announcement. Nissan will become the successor. And he'll say we aren't even qualified to wear the one wing. Dinner, drink. Nissan, get hold of yourself. Rosa-san. I wonder if Maria really received that umbrella from father. What do you mean? Maria-chan might have seen father. However, we haven't seen him. Maria-chan only claims to have seen him. What are you saying? Are you saying Maria's lying? Calm down, Rosa. Maria-chan didn't necessarily lie. Still, she's an innocent kid, right? For example, if Genji-san came up to her and said something like, I was told by your grandfather to hand this to you, Maria-sama. Then even if Maria-chan hadn't met Dad, she still might say that she got an umbrella from him, right? That's right. That's a bit of a stretch. That's a big stretch. That trick could work. But what was it Maria-chan said? Grandfather came and handed me the umbrella. Yes, that's what she said. She clearly said that she received an umbrella directly from grandfather. Directly, huh? Then we're stuck. They often say that bad thinking is no better than sleeping. If you think about it a bit, all this about the umbrella is a trivial problem. Why is that? Hadn't Maria-chan been bribed by Nissan to lie and say something that may seem like father was in good health? There's no evidence that father actually handed the umbrella to her. Regardless of whom Maria-chan received the umbrella from. Assuming she was even given an umbrella in the first place. Father will appear very soon. Once father is in front of us, the problem with the umbrella will become completely trivial. In other words, this is not the time to gossip about the umbrella issue. What do you mean, this isn't the time? I see.
わかったで。
I got it.
キリエさんが言いたいのはこういうことや
This is probably what Kiryu-san is saying.
お父さんもうすぐ出
Father's
会ってくる
supposed to
こと
come
にな
here
っとる
very
が
soon.
また難癖
But
を
the
つけ
chance
て
still remains that
結
he'll
局
get mad
現
again.
れん可能性がまだ残ってるっちゅうことやろ。
そうか。
I see.
そうよね。
That's true.
私たちの追求に
Maybe
兄さんが
Nissan just said father was going to appear at random and just predicted by time against our investigation.
やっぱりお父様は
Father really is dead already.
兄さんは今
And
なお
Nissan is still
まだ
lying
健在であると
and
嘘を
saying
つき
he's
続けてい
healthy.
る。つまりお父様が現れ
In
れば
short,
全ての策
if
は
father
通用しない。
appears, then no scheme will be effective.
考える必要もない。
There's no need to even think about that case.
私たちは訴
We
状
are
の
fish on the chopping board.
運を天に
We have
任
no
せて
choice but to leave
お
fate
父
to
様
the
と直
heavens
接交
and
渉に臨むし
negotiate
かない
directly
わ
with father.
それこそ
That means we
土下座
have
と
no
げんこ
choice
つを
but to
覚
let
悟して
him
お
claw
金を
us with
無
his
心するしか
fist.
ない。
Then prostrate ourselves and beg for mercy. At least you know you're fucked.
でも逆にお父
But
様が
on
現
the
れ
other
なけれ
hand,
ば
if
私
father
たち
doesn't
の当初
appear,
の作戦は何
then
も
our
揺るがな
primary
い。
strategy isn't hampered in the least.
なるほど。
I see.
つまりどっち
No
に
matter
転
which
ぼう
way
と
it
も
goes,
今さらあたふ
there's
たする必要
absolutely
は何
no
もない
need to
って
get
ことね。
flustered now.
そ
That's
ういう
it.
こと。お父様が現れ
If
れば
father shows up,
本来の親族
we
会
just
議
have
が
to
行
carry
わ
out
れ
the
るだけの
normal family
話。
conference.
現れなければ私
If
たち
he
は引
doesn't,
き続きクラウス兄さんを追求すればいいだけの
we
話
just
な
have
の
to
に。
keep on investigating Klaus-san.
お父さんの機嫌が急に悪くなっ
We
て
can't let him talk his way out of it.
みたいなクラウ
Like if
ス
he
さん
says
の言い
father's
流れを
mood has suddenly
決して
gotten
許
worse.
さんようにせんとな。
どうやら
It
私たち
seems
が
that
本当
we
に
really should
検
be
討す
trying
べ
to
きは
figure out
兄さんがどんな策を弄してこの場をごまかそうとしてく
is
るかよ。
what scheme Nissan is going to try and trick us with.
往生際の悪さは私が
The way
一
he
番よ
just
く知ってい
doesn't
る
know how to
わ。
give up is something I know better than anyone.
お父様がお元気なら私たちは土下座してお金を
If
無心
father's
し
well, we'll prostrate ourselves and beg for
クラウス
for
兄さん
money.
の茶番だったなら
If it's a
私た
farce
ちは
of
醜い
Klaus
兄弟
Sans,
喧嘩を再開し
then we'll continue our ugly sibling fight.
今年も素敵な親族
It
会議にな
sounds
り
like
そう
this
ね。
year's family conference is going to be just wonderful. Yeah, it's gonna be. You're never gonna forget it. It's fantastic. It's fantastic.
だな。
Yep.
下手な考え、休むに似たりってわ
So
け。
bad thinking is no better than sleeping, huh?
もうじき22時だな。
It's almost 22 or 22. It's 22. 9 o'clock.
兄貴に催促してみるか。
Should we press any key? Rudolph and the rest looked at Klaus. He was sitting down firmly and looked like he was waiting Kenzo's arrival with an air of composure. They couldn't tell if he really was composed or if he was scheming about how to tie together his lie.
あなた
Dear,
落ち着きなさい。
calm yourself.
もう今さらジタバタし
We
ても
won't get anywhere by making a fuss after all of this.
源氏さんに任せよう。
Let's leave it to Genji-san.
もうじき
It's almost 10, isn't it? That was the time they had been set for tonight's family conference to open. And it was the time that the Ushimiya family head needed to appear. Right then, they heard a sound of footsteps approaching from the hall. There were multiple sets. Nasi raised her head, relieved. But because of the sound of knocks. Her expression was filled with disappointment. Because Kinzo probably wouldn't have knocked.
失礼いたします。
Please excuse us.
戸締まりの見回りが終わりまし
I
た。
have finished closing up the mansion for the night. Ah, Kumasawa and Goda. I think this is the first time we've seen you in this game. It was Goda and Kumasawa. Unlike the powerful Goda, it was rare for Kumasawa with her old body to be forced to work this late. Of course, Cross also seemed to know that. Indeed.
ご苦労だった。
Good work.
こんな時間まで申し訳な
My
い。
apologies for making you work at such a time, Kumasawa-san.
いいえ、
Oh, it's nothing.
こう見えても
I may
まだ
not
夜
look
更かしは
it.
得意でございます
Staying up
ので
late is still one of my specialties.
熊沢についてだけは
Wouldn't
立ち
it
会い
be
を外さ
okay
せて
to
も
at
らえ
least
ない
let Kumasawa leave without being in a server?
さすがに体に応えるでしょう
It really will be difficult on her body, I imagine.
使用人も全員揃えろとの命令だ。
The order was to gather all the servants as well.
逆らえん。
I cannot disobey. Tonight's family conference was clearly different than normal. On a normal year, no one was allowed to attend except family members. To have the servants present for such a thing was unthinkable. But this year was different. All the servants were told to attend. Of course, they were not allowed to talk. They were as observers. Just what in the world was happening that needed to be observed by 5 servants? Even Klaus didn't know.
徹夜はこう見えても強
I
いん
don't
で
look
す
it,
よ
but I'm good at staying up late.
旦那様もサバをも
If
りも
you
り食
stuff
べれば
yourself with
夜
mackerel
もも
too,
っとたくましく
Klaus-sama,
なれ
you'll
ま
be
す
more manly at night. Oh, what she mean by that?
なるほど。
I see you're
まだ
so
まだお
high
元気で
spirits.
おられる。100
I'm
歳にな
sure
っても
you'll
元気でお
be
勤め
working
に
in
違
such
いな
high
い。
spirits until you're 100.
奥様、
Madam,
勝手ながら
forgive
軽
my
食の準
arrogance,
備をさせていただ
but
きま
I
し
have prepared a light snack.
た。いつでも配膳できますので、
I can serve it any time, so feel free to order it.
ありがと
Thank you.
うやはりあなたは気が利き
You
ま
are
す
really considerate.
他の皆さんにコーヒーのおかわりを勧めてください
Please offer refills. Please offer refills to the others.
かしこまりました。
Certain. After nodding, Goda took the pot towards the relatives gathered at the other end of the table. As he did, more footsteps approached from the hallway. It was a single set, and it was light, even before they could imagine who it was.
失礼いたします。
Excuse me,
お子様方をゲストハ
I
ウ
have
スへ
taken
お
the
送り
children
い
to
た
the
しま
guest
した。
house.
ご苦労でした
Good work.
今夜は特別な場で
Tonight is
す
a special evening.
緊張感を欠か
Make
さ
sure
ない
you
ように
stay alert. Yes,
かしこまりました。奥様。
certainly, madam. Genji had gone with Kanen to meet Kenzo. There's still no sign of their return. Oh god, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? The hand of the clock passed 22, which actually it should be 10, right? 10. What's that? Wasn't sure that Ava spoke to Klaus.
兄さんもう時間だけれども
It's time.
親族会議 まだ始まらないのか
Are you
しら
still not going to start the family conference? The arrival of the guest of honor has been delayed.
しばらく待ちたまえ。
What a short while.
いつまで
How long?
悪いけど時間を切っても
I'm
らうわ
sorry,
よ
but time is up.
お父様がなか
I
な
will
か
have
来
you
ない
saying,
なんてのを
Father
延
hasn't
々
shown
と続
up
けて
yet.
夜明けま
Over
で
and
待たさ
over
れたらた
until
まらないわ
dawn.
親父殿のお越しになる
How
時
could I
間を
make a
私が
promise
約
about
束
the
など
time
できる
father
の
shows up?
何
Why
を
are you in
焦って
such
い
a
るのか
rush?
まずはコーヒ
Why
ー
not
でも飲
drink
んで
some
落ち
tea
着こ
and
う
calm down for now?
兄貴、俺たちは
Hey,
親
Nikki.
族会議のために集まって
We're gathered here for a family conference.
茶番じゃない。
Not a farce.
あと30分は待つ。
We'll wait for 30 more minutes.
だが、それでダメなら、
But that
書
doesn't
斎
work.
に押しかけさせて
You'll
も
let
らう
us
ぞ
break into the study, okay?
押しかけるとは物騒だ
Break into?
当主様への敬いにあまりにも欠ける行為です
Such an action would be quite lacking in respect for the head.
そうよね
Alright.
ごめんなさい
Our apologies.
あと30分はおとなしくしてるわ
We'll be good for 30 more minutes. Hey, but you sadistic bitch.
30分後
I
に
look
も
forward
同
to
じ
seeing
笑
if
い
you
が
can
浮かべ
keep
ら
the
れ
same
る
smile
楽しいだ
up
わ
30 minutes from now.
親父殿が死んでい
So,
ると
you honestly believe the
本気
father
で
is
信じてい
dead?
るのかね
それを今
I
更
have
議
no
論する気はない
desire to
わ
discuss that now.
お父様がここに
We
やってくれ
can
ばいい
wait
だけ
until
の
father
話
comes here.
兄さんを言いまかす必要
There's
なんて
absolutely no need for me to argue you down, Nissan.
後ろ宮家当主は
The Yoshimiya headship will be passed on to the proper
正当なる手
person
続き
in
を
a
持って
proper
継
manner.
承されるお前が
No
何
matter
を
what
策を
you
弄
may
したところで
scheme,
何
you
も
cannot
あらがえんよ
resist.
もちろん
Of course, the same goes for me.
何をわ
What
け
are
の
you
わからな
trying
い
to
ことを
say?
今まで
You are
散
bragging
々
all
自
these
分こそが
years
実
about
教師
being
だ
the
と威張
successor
ってきたく
yourself?
せに
お前の言葉をそのま
Oh,
ま
turn your
返
own
す
words back on you.
それを今更議論
I
す
have
る気
no
はない
desire to discuss that now.
親父殿がやってきて
All that matters is for father to come here to proclaim it with his own mouth.
お前を言いまかす
There's
必要
absolutely
な
no
ど
need for me to argue you down.
だったか
Right. Kraus casually turned Ava's words back on her. Of course, that added oil to Ava's anger. But it didn't ignite. Because, in that instant, the sound of a very loud knock rang out. Oh god, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes! Both Genji and Kanon were usually very reserved when they knocked. They wouldn't hit the door with such a violent strength. It was like a judge's gavel, slamming down in a call for silence. So everyone went quiet. The door opened slightly, and Genji showed himself. Then he spoke, with a serious tone different from his usual one. It wasn't the tone he used when caring about his duties. It was the one he used when speaking for Kenzo himself. So just by hearing Genji speak like that, the siblings were struck with a sudden tension.
皆様、ご着席を。
Take your seats, everyone. At those words, the dining hall was wrapped in a total silence, and everyone hurriedly returned to their designated seats. It was as though students had been bustling around just before homeroom, and suddenly returned to their seats when the teacher came. And it might even look humorous, but there was no way anyone would joke about it. Everyone sat in order. In Shannon, Gora, and Kumazawa stood up straight in a row by the wall.
栄光ある後ろ宮家の当主にして金色に輝ける六軒島の領主
The head of the glorious Ushimiya family, and lord of Rokunojima, the island that sparkles gold.
後ろ宮金蔵卿のおなりであります
Lord Ushimiya Kenzo has arrived. On the double doors that led to the dining hall, Genji opened the right door from the inside, and Cannon opened the left door from the outside. Come on, come on. Where is the old bastard? Where is the old bastard? Ooh. Dang, he just like threw himself at the screen. And welcomed by a respectful bow from those two, majestically fluttering his cape, Kenzo appeared. Kenzo's gait had is it got? had a dignified weight to it, and it was hard to believe that he had reportedly been at the end of his life. Genji pulled back Kenzo's seat and motioned for him to sit. But Kenzo stayed standing, signaling with his chin for Genji to move back. Say something. Okay.
ようこそ諸君六軒島へ
No, thank you for having me.
何を怯えた顔をしておるのかエヴァ
What a frightened face, Eva. No,
そんな
why
怯え
would
てる
I
なん
be
て
frightened?
お父様が大
I'm
変
just
お元
really
気
to
そうな
find
の
you
で
in
ほっと
excellent
しただけで
spirits, Father.
おおエヴァ
Eva,
お前は相変わ
you're
ら
as
ず面白い
amusing
な
as ever, aren't you?
クラウスと
Why
の
don't you
賭
just
けに
honestly
負
say
け
how
て悔
frustrated
し
you
いと
are
素
at
直に
losing
言
your
えば
bet
よ
with
い
the
のに
glass?
言えないよな
You can say it, can you? Ava realized that their conversation during the day had indeed been leaked to Kenzo, and she hung her head, turning red.
さて
Well then,
と
my
我が
sons
息
and
子たち
daughters and their
娘たち
companions,
そしてお前たちの
tonight
心している
I shall make an
我が
appointment
財産
announcement
と
regarding
当主
my
の継
inheritance
承につい
and the
て
succession that
今宵は
you all
重要
seem
な
so
発
keen
表
on.
をしようと思うまず最初に私はひどく失望していることを伝えようと
But
思う
first, I must tell you how incredibly disappointed I am.
それは
After all,
今日まで
until
誰に
this
も
very
あの自
day,
分の謎を
no
解
one
く
has
こと
been
がで
able
き
to
なか
solve
った
the
という
riddle
こと
of the
だ
epitaph. Even though Kenzo said he was disappointed, a condescending smile rose to his face, as though there was no way the likes of these could have solved it. His gaze passed through all of them.
私は
I am glad to hand over everything to the one who could solve it,
つもりでいたしかし
but none have been able to solve it before today. And here we stand with nothing of mine passed down to anyone.
ここにいた情けない
How shameful
お前たち
to
の
think
中
that
に
not
それを
one
受け継
among
ぐ資
you
格
have
を持
come
つ
forward
人間が
with a
現れなかった
qualification
こ
to
と
succeed
が
me.
私は
How
心底
truly
残念で
disappointing
ありそ
and
して
shameful
情けなく
and
ざま
pathetic.
ないと思っている
I'm not letting you laugh that long, dude. Siblings hung their heads in silence. Of course, they could have solved it if they could. True, they couldn't deny that they wasted a golden opportunity, but it was just so hard.
よって
Therefore, I am proclaiming here and now that I will suspend the use of the epitaph riddle as a method of choosing my successor. In short, time's up. This game is over. What a shame for you all. Even though it should have been given you all equal and fair chance. Let's go in now. It surely sounded like Kenzo was making a victory proclamation. In that case, will my oldest son Klaus succeed the headship? The answer is no. What? Cross like, yeah, okay. You understand, right, Klaus? I certainly give you the title of successor, but all you do is let it go to your head. Do you know what a successor is? It means the person who will inherit your position after you, father. Wrong! The position as successor isn't something that graduated is guaranteed by the current head at all. Listen up, Klaus. I won't tell you this again. A successor is what you call someone who finds everyone else who's after the headship, thoroughly breaks their noses, and makes it so that they can never disobey him again. So a bully? That this is not only something that can be said of the headship. It's the same with money. A rich person doesn't mean someone who has money. It means someone who crushes everyone who has more money than himself, who scrabbles together more money than anyone else. Huh. This last chapter, we got a completely different idea of rich. There's to be acknowledge yourself, be content with yourself. Kenzo doesn't have the same ideas. It's the same with talent. A genius is not what you call a person unless with talent. It means a person who crushes everyone with more talent than themselves. A person who can force geniuses and all other people to call them the using strength and charisma. You have mistaken impression when it comes to all these things. So, you are right for the caliber of my successor. I take your words to heart. Perhaps that truly was Kenzo's philosophy. As a result of faithfully carrying out that rant-like philosophy of his, Kenzo had glorified the Ushimiya family to the state it was in today. It may be hard to imagine after his immersion in the occult in recent years, but that brutality overbearing outlook was no more of less than Ushimiya Kenzo, charisma, and aura. Such an unsatisfactory person is not qualified to inherit everything of the Ushimiya family. In that case, is Eva, Rudolph, or Rosa qualified? Again, no. You weren't able to solve the riddle, and you were also unable to use a scheme to drag Klaus down. All the three of you managed to do was gather together a unified front to try and extort money from Klaus. And even that scheme was thoughtless. You can't even corner Klaus all by himself. There could be nothing more shameful. Well, I don't agree with his ideas. He does have a point. They could come up with some idea to take the headship, try to impress father, or just grow their business so they wouldn't need the headship, but no, they focus a little bit more on, yeah, sorting Kraus. You lack the avarice to steal away the position of successor by any means. In order to get what you want, you should sacrifice everything, becoming as culturist for vicious and greedy as possible. The goddess of luck smiles upon the greedy. Does she? I don't think I ever heard that saying before. You three who don't have that wild spirit are unfit for the succession, as Klaus is. Ava and the rest had no words to respond with, and they couldn't calculate what it was Kinzo was about to say. What Kinzo actually planned to proclaim that no one would succeed the headship? If so, that would work to Ava, Rosa, and Rudolph's advantage. After all, in the end, they just had to renegotiate everything among the siblings after Kinzo's death, splitting the inheritance evenly. It would surely be more troublesome if a specific person name was raised and proclaimed to be the successor. But would Kinzo really say something to benefit any of the four siblings after demeaning them so much? You don't think he's going to say something, say that because no one will succeed him? He'll donate all his fortune to charity or something, right? I'm afraid I wouldn't put it past father. Blood just risen to his head. We can't do anything but let him talk for now. Well then, father, what thoughts do you have regarding the succession of the headship? Since I am so utterly disappointed in all of you, I have lost the desire to hand over anyone. Therefore, the Ushimiya family will end here. It ends in my generation. But to what? The Ushimiya family was crushed long ago in that earthquake. The current Ushimiya family is nothing more but an illusion of gold and glimpsing for an instant, the likes of which will end when I awaken from my slumber. Everything in this world is a dream, an illusion. Life is but a daydream before the awakening called death. It's a little too morbid. That's how it was from the beginning. That I should lose everything when I die was part of Beatrice's contract and her curse. As if I let you, Beatrice, I will be the one who captures you. Tonight, the goal will be realized. Man, that voice for Kinzo really hurts my throat. For a while, Kinzo was overcome with cackling and his eyes bulged. Whenever he talked about Beatrice, it was always both elegant and insane. Foolish children such as yourself truly are daydreams. I'm gonna stop that. I'm gonna stop that. It's as though you were never there from the beginning. Disappear. Wake up. Disappear from the doze of the truth that I am. You failures have not built up anything that makes you worthy to succeed me. If I may. What is it? My friend. Nanjo nervously raised his hand, asking to speak. Kinzo allowed him to.
金蔵さんの気持ち
I
も
I understand how you feel, Kinzo-san.
子供たちを
Because
愛
you
するが
love
ゆえ
your children. You expect a lot of them.
大きな期
As
待
a
を寄せ
parent and a grandparent
期
myself,
待を裏切られたような気持ちに同じく
I understand how parental affection can make you feel as though your expectations were betrayed.
しかし
However,
金蔵さんは非凡
you
だ
are extraordinary, Kinzo-san.
天才だ
A genius.
そんな金蔵さんに
Isn't saying that it's only natural for them to catch up to you a little too harsh.
それでも
Despite
そんな
that,
金蔵さんに追いつこうと
Ruff-san, Ava-san, Rudo-san, Rosa-san,
クラウスさんもエ
and
ヴァさん
all their partners have done their very best to catch up with you.
そしてその伴侶の皆さんほほ
He didn't want to hear that.
よく頑張
And
って
just how much money
ど
have
の
they
程度
built
の
up,
金を稼ぎ上げたというの
up
か
with doing their best
事業にことごと
after
く
these
失敗
cowards
して
fail
借
completely
金
in
を抱え
ventures and gain debt?
未だに
And still
私の
try to
すねをか
sponge
じろ
off
うという
me?
間
How
抜け
can
の
they
者
say they did their
どこが
very
よ
best?
く頑張っていると言えるのかこの世の
Money
全
is
て
the
は
crystallization
金
of
として
everything in
結
this
晶
world.
しているのだそれが
If
つかめ
you
るという
cannot
こ
grasp
とは
that,
こ
then
の
you
世を
cannot
掴ん
grasp
で
the
おら
world.
ぬという魂
If
が
a
この
life
世を
cannot
しっか
strongly
り掴
grasp
んで
this
おらぬ
world,
というこ
it
と
doesn't
は
deserve
生
to
きるに
live.
値せぬということだ消えろ
Disappear.
我が生
Disappear
と
from my
現実
life
から消え
and
去
my
ってしま
reality.
えそれは
A
不論で
thriftless
す
argument.
その理論
With
から
that
言えば
logic, even
私
I
だっ
must
て
not
生
live.
きていてはいけないことになるそんな
Even
私で
so,
も
I believe the time I spent playing chess with you was worthwhile for both
共に
us,
価値あるものだった
Kinzo-san.
と信じていますぞ世の中
You should have known better than anyone else. There are many things in this world that could not be bought with money.
誰よりもご存知のはずだ
Huh? As the siblings emotionally hung their heads, they cheered Nanjo on the inside of their hearts. Not one of the siblings could offer their opinion in front of Kinzo in a rage, but Kinzo's close friend Nanjo alone was allowed to. Even though Kinzo had raged so fiercely after being ambushed by Nanjo, he nodded several times as though in agreement. This surprisingly obedient side of him might have seemed cute, but there was no one here who could laugh.
確かに息子さんたちは
It may be true that your children haven't built up as a great fortune as you have, Kinzo-san.
まあ
Even
それ
though,
も私から見れば
though even so, they're
羨ま
rich
しい
enough
ほ
to
どの
make
お金
me
持ちではあり
jealous.
ますがなしかし
But
お金
besides
だけで
money,
なく
they also
お金
built
では
up many
買えない
things
たくさん
that
の
cannot be
ものを
bought with
築き上
money.
げましたそれにつ
When
い
it
て言えば
comes to that, they are in no way inferior to you, Kinzo-san.
ほう
Oh,
金で買えぬ何
and
を
what do
積み上
you
げたと
claim they have built up that cannot be bought with money?
幸せです
Happiness,
家族
family.
彼
They
らは
have found wonderful
素晴らしい
partners,
伴侶を
had children, and each has built up their own
そ
happy
れぞれの
homes.
幸せな家庭を築かれていますあなた
They
の
have
一族を繁
glorified
栄
your
させ
family
そして
name
孫を
and
連
have
れ
brought,
帰ってきてくれまし
brought
た
back grandchildren.
孫はいいです
Grandchildren are wonderful.
私たち年寄りは
The older people can look at these young grandchildren who will live on into a new era that we will not even be given a chance to see. And in them, we can imagine an endless future.
それは
Isn't that the sole entertainment we have in our old age?
思い出しなさい
Remember,
金蔵さん
Kinzo.
彼らが初め
Remember
て
your joy when they
孫を連れ
first
て帰って
brought
くれ
back
た
their
時の
grandchildren.
喜びを息子さんたち
Your
は
children and your grandchildren will carry your great works onto the
金蔵さ
future
んの偉業を
generations,
後の世まで
setting an
伝え
example.
模範としてそれはお
That
金
is something that an individual cannot
孤独なる身には
accomplish,
なせぬ
no matter how much money they have. The siblings all nodded in agreement. Certainly, Kinzo had looked happy when his grandchildren had just been born, but when he still had some sanity in his heart. However, did Kinzo's heart still contain a human warmth?
それはつまり
In other words,
私が成
in
した巨
exchange for
万
the
の
vast
富の
riches
代わ
I
りに
created, I instead of gaining money, I have gained my grandchildren. No, that's not what I... So, in exchange for the several tens of billions in wealth I have built up, I have gained a single grandchild from each of my children. Oh god, he's crazy. This is wonderful. So I have created a single life using 10 billion yen. That's how it is. Interesting, truly interesting example in the Umineko sense, right? Oh, what valuable grandchildren! I don't think things are valuable. Wonderful. Is that right, Klaus? Is your daughter worth 10 billion yen? The answer is yes. Klaus could answer instantly. It wasn't that he didn't have confidence in his daughter. It was because he didn't have a clue what Kenzo was trying to test him with this question. But when Natsuki was then pressed for an answer, she responded, breaking Kraus' silence with an answer of her own interpretation. Yes. Jessica is a daughter I wouldn't let go of even for 10 billion yen. In that sense, I believe she has a value that can't be measured with money. So you can say for certain that she's worth 10 billion yen? What about you, Eva? What about your George? Since Natsuki answered that way, Eva naturally came up with her own answer as well. Even though Eva should have known better than to respond to a provocation question like this, she answered as well. Yes, father. George is worth 10 billion. No, even more than that. And that's not in the abstract sense of things money can't buy. George will certainly build up a fortune equal to his worth. He'll become a grandson worthy of carrying on your great works, father. Eva set a glance at Hideyoshi and Natsuki as if she scored a point. When she heard what Eva said, Natsuki was about to add more praise for her daughter, but stopped at a glare from Kraus. And what about you, Rudolph? What about your butler? About George-kun, there's nothing about butler I can brag about. If he was kidnapped and we were threatened with a ransom of 10 billion, I feel like sticking a bow of the guy and letting him have him. God damn you, Rudolph. On top of that, he's an idiot and reckless. Talks about grand dreams and things that couldn't be done. I guess in that way, he's a super idiot worth the equivalent of 10 billion normal idiots. But I'm sure that guy could do things even groups of 10 billion average people couldn't do. Well, I'm pretty sure he'll fall flat on his base. The world isn't easy. But at the very least, there's no doubt that watching over his life will be more fun than looking at 10 billion average people. Eva clicked her tongue at the clever style of speech, which would probably match Kinzo's taste. Apparently, Rudolph had done that on purpose, so he grinned back at her. What of Maria? Oh god, what is this bitch gonna say? Maria is my adorable and only daughter. Her value cannot be measured with money. That's all. I see. Dreams in the future. Miracles and possibilities are the source of my magical power. No magic without hopes hold any strength. I cannot expect any more from you, who have proven to be average. But I see my grandchildren hold future possibilities, and expecting a magical miracle from them may be worthwhile. You're saying that, in this way, they're worth more than 10 billion. Yes, I can see where you're coming from. I don't like that he's making. When Kenzo got in a rage, he wouldn't let anyone speak up. But even so, he would sometimes accept something on his own while yelling by himself, and change his opinion. That's what it felt like to the siblings. Apparently, even though Kenzo had been disgusted by his unsuccessful children, and had cast them away by being unfit for the inheritance of his title or his fortune, he wasn't sure about his grandchildren. At this rate, he might soon say that the inheritance would go to his grandchildren instead of the siblings. As the siblings sat in the fear for what their fickle, short-tempered father might suddenly think of next, they carefully watched his every move. What's happening? Let me change my thinking a little. I have absolutely no desire to hand over all I have to any of you. However, it would be quite interesting to question the grandchildren to see if one of them is qualified. I always thought of them as mere kids. But there's a chance I'll find a shining gem amongst them that'll catch me off guard. And testing them for that would be... Yes. It would be a shame to abandon that final size trip in my remaining life. Well then, what shall I do? I can, with confidence, recommend George as someone fitting to follow you. Able to claim that right away. Natsuki looked like she was about to follow along, but Kraus gave her a look telling her to restrain herself. So she swallowed her words. How bold. Then let us do this. I will individually question the grandchildren to see if they are qualified to succeed the Ushimiya family inheritance and wealth. Father? However, that does not mean that one of you will indirectly receive the inheritance. I am already disappointed in you all. There's no longer anything I have to give you. Not a thing. The ones I will question are my grandchildren. The ones who might succeed me are my grandchildren. Make absolutely sure that you do not mistake this. Understood? I shall obey father's decision. Same here. I'll go along when he decides. What about you, and Nikki? Of course. I believe father will make a wise judgment. I will also obey father's decision. I shall think of how to test my grandchildren, which means this is no longer any business of yours. After all, none of you are involved with the succession in any way now. So right here, right now, perhaps we should discuss a different matter. That does involve you. What's happening? A different matter? Indeed.
それこそが今
That
宵
it's a
の
nice true
そ
purpose.
して
And the true
後ろ
purpose
宮
for
家
this
最後の親
final
族会議
Ushimiya
の
family
本
conference as
当
well.
の理由だ。お前たちに
I have
求
no
める
desire
の
to
は
hear
議
your
論
thoughts
で
and
も意見で
opinions.
もない。
I
我が
demand
儀
only
式
your assistance.
協力を求め
Assistance
る
in
た
my
めだ。
ceremony.
儀式
Your ceremony.
静かに
Quiet.
お父様がお話をなさっている最中よ
Bends like a straw. Rudolph and the rest had automatically narrowed their brows at the occult-like word. Could he be planning to start some strange ceremony involving Beatrice's resurrection again? And he wanted their assistance? What in the world was he planning to do? In the past, he had carried out many eccentricities that he called by the same name, such as starting to burn a strange incense and filling the whole mansion with the stench. To the siblings, a ceremony was nothing more than one of the aged Kinzo's obnoxious hobbies.
お父さん
Father,
儀式
just
とは
what do you mean by
一
that?
体
私たちに協力できることなら
We'll do
何でも
anything.
ご協力しますねえローザ
Right, Rosa? Yes,
でも
but
一体
what in the
何
world is it?
私が
A
碑文に
ceremony
刻んだ
as
通
described
り
in
の
my
儀式だ。
epitaph.
ベアトリ
A
ーチェを蘇
ceremony to
ら
revive
せ、
Beatrice
黄金鏡の
and
扉を
open
開
the
く
door
儀
to the
式
golden
である。
land.
肉体の檻を
That
逃
witch
れ、
who
私の
escaped
指
her
の
cage
隙
of
間を
flesh
嘲笑うよう
and
に
sincerely
すり
slipped
抜ける
through
あ
my
の魔女。
fingers. I shall now
今
capture
度こそ
and
捕らえ、屈服
force
させ
into
る
submission
私
with
の
my
最大の
greatest
秘
hidden
術
art.
だ。そのため
For
に
that purpose, I
13
must
人も
offer
の命を生
13 people
贄に
as
捧げねばなら
sacrifices.
ぬがな。13人もの
Gathering 13
生贄は
people's
容易
worth
に
of
は
sacrifice
集ま
is
らん。
no easy feat.
しか
But
し、
tonight
今宵
is a
は
great
親
family
族会議。
conference.
これだけの
Many
大人
adults
数が
have gathered on
六軒島に
Rokkenajima.
集まった。この儀式
There
が
could be
行
no
える
other
の
day
は
on which
今
in which
日
you
を
to
置いて
carry
他
out
に
this
ないのだ。
ceremony. Taken literally, it sounded like he was telling them to become human sacrifices for his dark ceremony and die. Ridiculous. Was it some kind of metaphor? But they didn't even have a clue what he was trying to illustrate. The siblings whispered together about what Kinzo was saying.
親父は何を
What's Dad going on about?
いつもの悪い
Is this his
病気
usual sickness?
だろうに
Probably.
しばらく黙
Listen
って聞いてやる
silently for now.
ごめんなさいお
I'm
父
sorry,
様
Father.
どういう意味でおっしゃ
I
られ
don't
てい
understand
る
what you
の
mean
か
by that.
わかりかねます
何が
What
分
is
か
it
り
you
か
don't
ねるという
understand?
私は
Why
至
making
極
this
単純
extremely
に
simple?
話している。ベアトリ
I
ーチェを
told you
蘇
that I
ら
would
せる
choose
儀式の
13
た
of
め
the
に
humans on this
この島
island
にいる
and
人
offer them
間
as
から13
sacrifices,
人
a
を選
ceremony to
ぶ
revive
生贄に
Beatrice.
捧げようと言っている。何の価値
Even
もない
worthless
お
people
前
like
たち
you
に
can very
我が儀
useful,
式の
very
生
useful,
贄としてな
are
ら
very useful
大いに
as
役に
sacrifices
立
in
て
my
るというわけ
ceremony.
だ。
Listen,
これは冗談でも
this is
な
not
ん
a
でも
joke
ない。
nor anything of the sort.
我が人生の最後に欲する最
This
後
is
の
my
賭け
final
最
bet,
後の
my
儀式
final
である。
ceremony, the last one I will desire in my life.
この島には
There are
今
now more than 13 humans on this
13人を超える
island.
人間がいつま
In
り
short, that's a head count that can easily satisfy the massive number of sacrifices I require. Become the sacrifices for my ceremony.
金蔵さん、
Kinzo-san,
あんた
You weren't.
まさかあの話は本気だったのかね。
hey, no barking. Hey, quiet. Hey! No, you're not allowed to do that. You know that. No. It's 12:03 in the morning. What is wrong with you? No way. No, she has good ears. She probably heard something. No. 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 Do not be in the living room. You be doing all that barking. No, you don't act cute now. You don't act cute now. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. Come on, let's finish this scene. Kenzo-san, you weren't serious about what you said back then, were you? It was a joke? Unusually for him, Nanjo's face changed color as he stood up and shouted. It seemed this wasn't the first time Nanjo had heard all this talk about 13 sacrifices. Sorry, my friend. That was no joke, no anything of the sort. It is what I put my life on. The final ceremony. The final ceremony, the final game that I will attempt. Yes, this is a game. If gaining my fortune and leaving the island is your goal, then there are only two ways to achieve it. Will you escape being chosen as one of the 13 sacrifices and spectacularly survive by finally resolving the riddle of the epitaph and stopping the ceremony? Or will you kill me and thereby stop the ceremony? Those are your only two options. By now, everyone wasn't just whispering, but chattering and muttering away. Even the siblings had noticed that Kenzo was beginning to act abnormal. Father, you are a little tired. Genji-san, has father been drinking? Has he been drinking? No. The master is sensible. Sorry, Dad. I don't have a clue what you're talking about. Dad's free to start any weird ceremony he wants to revive which he loves. That's his hobby. But getting wrapped up in that, being made into a human sacrifice is a little more than I can handle. Rudolph, are you trying to interrupt father? What are you talking about, Nikki? You expect me to listen to something that's shady and say, oh, really? Was the ceremony Kenzo had mentioned literally something disturbing? Or was it some kind of test to choose the successor? It seemed that Rudolph had taken it literally, but Ava apparently still believed that it was something like a test or an examination to find a proper successor. But Kenzo responded with a clear smile. Well then, that's all I have to say. No objections or opinions are necessary from you. I have simply awakened from my dream of having 4 unsuccessful children. To all of you, what will occur now before your very eyes may seem like a dream, an illusion, something that couldn't conceivably be of this world, in a world that defies understanding. But that itself is my reality. Now I will finally awaken from the shallow, useless dream that all of you are. Come, the game has already begun, see? With as many of you here, I can take the lives starting with anyone. So long, my unsuccessful children. And for the final and only time in your lives be useful for my ceremony. What the? Arise! Pendragon Memorial Troops! The gold butterflies! When Kenzo raised his arms high, like an opera singer, and yelled as though towards a packed audience. The air shattered like glass, and the outlines of 3 people, who supposedly hadn't been invited to this island, appeared. Hey! Siesta 45 right here! Siesta 14, right? Oh, the third one! Siesta 00. Right here, sir. 3 girls with strange forms suddenly appear behind Kenzo. Where from? When? Who? Who were they? The humans were thrown off balance and their minds went blank. Because they spent all that time thinking they lost their last chance to survive.
お前たちには6人の射殺を許可する。
You got permission to shoot 6 to death.
標的
I leave the
は
choice
自由。
of targets up to you.
攻撃開始。
Begin your attack. Unrestricted firing, understood, sir. Thank you for granting us such excellent targets. Everyone, immerse unrestricted firing. First one, yeah. When Fortin scratched the air with her fingers, a golden bow appeared in empty space, and she pulled its string. The golden arrow that had been readied there was fired off without any hesitation, flew around the room, leaving haphazard gold curves everywhere, and chose Natsuki from among the sitting at the table of the family conference, pulverizing the left half of her face. Ooh. Flesh and deep red blood scattered around, leaving massive red spatter marks on the relative faces in the pure white tablecloth. Silence fell. Despite the massive number of deep red spots left on the tablecloth, no one could understand why Natsuki's head was half mashed, nor why she was hanging her head as though dozing while still sitting. And they watched on in silence. Those sitting on Natsuki's right side were silent for a relatively long time. But those sitting to her left were not, because the people sitting on that side had been shown how her head had been smashed open like a watermelon or a pomegranate, and could even see inside her. One down. Natsuki is a luckless woman to the end. Next. 00, firing. After scratching the empty air in the same way and readying her bow, 00 fired as well. Who did it hit? Who did it hit? Who did it hit? After it flew around at high speeds, like the golden arrow. 14 release. Release drawing a convoluted curve in the same manner. It smashed the head of Rudolph. Rudolph's head in the same way as he looked at Natsuki's shock, killing him instantly. This time, everyone managed to avoid freezing up mentally. They realized that a fearsome murder had started playing out right in front of them, just like Kenzo had said. And they realized that Kenzo would probably kill even more. I love when people scream. Shrill screams burst out. Even so, they didn't know what to do. so they could only keep screaming and flapping their wide open mouths like goldfish. Father, what do you think you're doing? You fool! Run now! As Ava asked Kenzo that in total shock, Hideyoshi, who had come to his senses faster than anyone else, had risen to his feet, pulled at her arm from behind. However, merciless fate chose for the third time. The third sacrifice was Hideyoshi. Just like the two before him, half of Hideyoshi's head was neatly smashed. On the right side of his head, which had happened to be facing that direction at the time, had been blown open with its contents exposed like a watermelon or a pomegranate. So, still holding Ava, Hideyoshi slumped backwards and fell down. Still, held by her beloved husband, Ava fell over backwards with him. Dear? Dear? Ava screamed. It was only natural. The face she had been looking for had been half lost, and the crushed skull, the mashed brains, and the crushed jaw all lay bare. 45. Impact is a hit. Spectacular. Fire again.
残りは
3 more remain. Father! What is this supposed to be? She just knocked him by. Then Crow stood up forcefully and was about to rush. Kenzo 00 blocked him. With her slender looking body, she held back Crow with just the palm of her right hand. He still tried to resist and attacked Kenzo, though 00 lifted Kraus by the nape of his neck and twisted his apple with her thumb. Oh god! Well, it seemed to be very painful, and Kraus was overcome with agony. Everyone, run! Good. The police. Ambulance! Quickly! Everyone, let's escape! Escape! Nanjo's sharp words finally dissolved the spell that had been holding them down in their chairs. Then Goda and Kumasawa each tried to escape from the dining hall first. Gorten moved in an instant and appeared there, blocking the way. She's right there. Okay. Monsieur Sluggy. You think I have a clear skin, yeah? Okay. Even though Goda didn't understand, he crouched when he heard Kirie's sharp voice. Then a burst of air rushed above his head. Kirie had taken a big swing with a chair to mow Fortin down. But Fortin, still with a mocking expression, easily caught that wildly swung chair with a single hand. Scare you, what? You really want to go the same way as your husband that much? Who was it? From the scuff of her arm where she had caught the chair, something like a spinning gold snake appeared, wrapped itself around the chair and burst open. It was a fearsome power like a vice. When Kirie realized that the being in front of her, which looked like a girl, was actually something that surpassed human knowledge, and the human could not even begin to oppose. Her head was filled with a fierce alarm bell that welled up from deep inside her. Genji, Shannon, and Cannon, all the servants permitted to wear the one-winged eagle, continued to stand calmly, at attention by the wall, even with a scene like this before their eyes, making them look very bizarre and eerie. For an instant, Kirie thought that they managed to stay calm because they were with the enemy, and be given a guarantee that they wouldn't be killed. Who was it? But as soon as she thought that, the sight Genji's face was blown away before her eyes. Not Genji. 45 impact is a hit. Genji. Oh, unfortunate. So just one more killer, right? Rest in peace, my friend. Your life's death will not be wasted. You will become one of the 13 keys, essential to the resurrection of my beloved witch. The half of Genji's expression that remained was indifferent as ever. He tilted, fell over, and sent a blood-red splatter out across the floor. Nothing more than the witch's pieces. Nothing more. Nothing more. For the meek and frustrated. No, resigned expressions on Shannon Cannon's face. One couldn't see any naive hope that they'd be rescued. That's right. Kinzo was, in the truest sense, carrying out these murders at random. In the truest sense, he was killing like it was a game to see who would be saved and who would be killed. Borten looked at Kirei for a second. In that second, Kirei was prepared for her own death. But when she readied her golden bow in mid-air, Borten was looking at someone else over Kirei's shoulder. So, as imprudent as it was, Kirei felt as though she had been saved. Again, an ugly, exploding, popping sound rang through the room. Was it? Was it this time? When Kirei turned to face the direction of the sound, she saw blood gushing like a fountain and Ava lying on her husband's chest. Of course, her face had been half smashed, just like her husband's. Borten had mercilessly targeted Ava as she clung to her husband's corpse, sobbing. Let's go, Nissan. Let's go, Nissan. Just stop it, Father. Just stop this brutality. Run away, Rosa. Oh, he's still being choked, isn't he? Rosa's objection didn't reach Kinzo as he continued to laugh loud in the blood-splattered dining hall. She wasn't able to lessen Krause's pain by being lifted up by the nape of his neck by 0-0. So Rosa had no choice but to use force. She lifted up a chair beside her and gave a warning. Father! Order her to let go, Nissan! To stop them from doing this! I cannot. It is what you desire. Then prevent it using your own power. To the path through to your own fate with your own hands. You have always hid behind the backs of others in fear. Let me see you overcome your weakness one last time in your life. Such an asshole. Father. The chair that Rose had lifted up swung down at the father who had reigned as a symbol of terror for her entire life. It was the greatest and final act of bravery and self-control in Rose's life. What Kinzo had said might have been true. If she had grasped that courage much sooner, her life might have become more free, unrestrained by anyone else. Then there was a bursting sound. The sound of Rosa's chair fiercely hitting Kinzo. Could not have been this. With the chair so lifted up, she neatly lost half of her head and slumped She kind of serves that role, which is but still holding Klaus up with one hand, 00 stuck her other hand out towards Rosa. The golden snake released from that arm had constricted Rosa in a helix and had smashed into her head. Defensive firing. I apologize for this discourtesy of shooting so close to you, sir. I cannot. This makes 6 people. Yes, Lord Goldsmith. This makes 6 people. When she indifferently communicated that 00 let go of Kraus, whom she had been lifting up this whole time. Indeed. So the sacrifices of the first twilight were Eva, Rudolph, Rosa, Nasuhi, Hideyoshi, and Genji. It was a massacre that happened in an instant. The interior of the dining hall had been dirtied by bullet splatter, and 6 unlikely victims lay with their heads brutally exposed. In a way that was fitting for that abnormal space, Kenzo's abnormal laugh alone echoed out. The Scourge finally risen! The ceremony of my Beatrice has begun! You lucky ones who have managed to escape the first twilight, allow me to introduce you to my friends. Arise, my friend! When Kenzo called Renove's name, the demon butler showed himself in mid-air, bowing respectfully. Pleased to meet you, everyone. And good day to those of you I haven't seen for a long time. It seems that this place is once again spectacularly untidy. Pay it no mind. It takes a stimulant of this level to wake me from my daydream-like days. Allow me to introduce my friend, a reliable butler, and one of the 72 great demons, Renove. I'm pleased to make your acquaintance. Just who is he making that introduction to? Klaus and Kirei, who were still down on their backsides, and Nanjo, and Golda, and Kumasawa, go and look up in this middle-aged gentleman, who they didn't know in shock. Only Shannon and Kennen seemed to recognize him, and they bowed deeply. So I wasn't able to greet Genji. I hope he was at least able to fulfill his purpose painlessly. Isn't that from just head to the head? He didn't have time to feel the pain. Is that so? Very well. Allow me to introduce another friend. Virgilia. Once again, a silhouette of someone the relatives didn't know appeared from empty space. She appeared in a refined dress while making an elegant greeting. Thank you for summoning me, Master. Although I would rather not have been summoned into a bloody place such as this. Allow me to introduce her to you. This is both my friend and a reliable counselor, Virgilia. I desire to borrow your great power as the Witch of the Infinite, the Witch of the Finite. Lend it to me. Even I tried to refuse, such that the timing wouldn't permit for one supported by the power of your summonings. As you wish, Master. Still, a fearsome fellow. I think he summoned 3 of the Chiesa sister corps. and then me, and then Virgilia. Even though it's only the area of summoning, to think that he surpassed my lady so thoroughly. How frightening. I can help but shudder at the Ushimiya blood. In order to carry out Bear's resurrection ceremony, I shall give it all to my summoner. This still isn't enough. In order to perfectly succeed in the ceremony's time, I shall summon more. The Pendragon Memorial troops, Umineko and Virgilia. I can still call more. With my magical power, I can still call many more. Answer to my summons. 172 demons. Gop!
ガープ
Gop!
あれまでも権限
You
で
can
きる
even
というの
materialize her?
さらに
It probably means that the coercion has advanced even more on this island.
私たちが
It's already proceeded far enough to materialize us.
今更
By now, we shouldn't be surprised no matter how great a demon he summons.
もはやロッキン島は
Has Fujima already been completely sucked into a parallel world
という
then?
ことです彼は屈服しない
Hope it does not surrender.
前
He learned a lot last time, correct?
この程度では
After
今更
all,
屈服します
he won't surrender over this much.
おそらく
Probably, I should say. Wait, I'm a bachelor?
さて
Well
私
then,
たちは
shall
こ
we
の舞
enjoy
台を
the
楽
stage?
しもうではありませんか
Enjoy the stage we now stand upon.
今回の主人公は
It seems the main character is the master this time.
お嬢様とは
Let's suspect a script of a different flavor than Milady's. Ooh, what's this? When he can so strongly concentrate his magical power, a pale light gathered in the empty air twisted. A magical circle was drawn there, with a deep red glow. And with a sound like glass breaking, a new demon could be seen. She's there! She's there! You will answer my call. You want to send me to great demons.
すごいところに呼び出
This
さ
is
れ
one hell of a place. Wait, that's Gap's voice?
この血まみれの部屋を掃除するために私は呼び出されたのかしらゴールド・スミス
I didn't think her voice was gonna sound like that. No, kill someone. This is one hell of a place you summoned me. Summoned me to. Do you call me to clean up this blood-stained room, Goldsmith? The literally devilish woman, wrapped in a venomous, ominous costume, looked at the scene which made her cover her eyes and twisted her mouth in a grin.
そのためだけに
To summon you for such a reason would be like using a chemistry on the floor to mop the floor.
お久しぶりです
It's been a long time, Gap.
あなた
I think a great demon such as yourself has finally appeared on this island.
いよいよこの
Perhaps
島
this
も
island is finally submerging completely into fantasy.
部屋の惨状よりも
This all sarcasm is even more surprising than the gruesome state of the room.
シエスタ姉妹が3
A
人
full of the Chiesta sisters, the great demon Renove, the great witch Virgilia, and even me.
これは何
What's going on
ここはパンデモニウ
in
ム
this Pandemorium?
地獄の演奏
Are you
会
trying to
は
start
始ま
a
るつもり
concert from hell or something?
なるほど
I see.
そこで
As a conductor for that, I couldn't think of anyone better than you,
ゴー
Goldsmith.
ルド・スミス
I will have your assistance in a facilitator in the completion of my ceremony. You resurrect Beatrice. You have no objections to my summoning contract, correct?
依存も
Of
何も
course not.
天下の大魔女ベアトリーチェを飼
And
育
there's
した
no way I can resist the subordinating power of the legendary great summoner, Lord Goldsmith, who forced the famous great witch Beatrice to do his bidding.
協力はする
I'll assist you,
もちろん
although I will of course ask a fitting price.
で
So,
最初の仕事
what's my first job? Capture the cowards and made it through the first twilight. Fortunately, there are still 7 here, aren't there? Nanjo. And the 7 are all for sacrifices. That's exactly 13 people. Until it's time for the second twilight, and later twilights to be carried out. Throw them in the cage of sacrifices. The cashmere mop, huh? Understood. As the gap shrugged her shoulders, she looked up at Kraus, who was still down on his butt. She glared. Then, when she snapped her fingers, Kraus was held up by the floor as though a round pitfall had opened up beneath him. Went down. There was no hole in the floor, but it had certainly looked as though Kraus had been swallowed up by a hole and disappeared. Searching for the next prey, Gap gazed across, curious. She snapped her fingers. Carrie jumped back as though repelled. Her instincts had been right. After all, in the place where she had been until a second ago, a round black hole had appeared, the same kind that swallowed up Kraus. However, before she could catch her balance, another pitfall appeared and swallowed her up. Even Kiri had no way of eluding Gap's capture. When she snapped her fingers again, a shocked Nanjo was swallowed up by the floor and disappeared. When she did again, Fortune let out a short yell and jumped back. This time, a slightly larger pitfall opened, swallowing both Shannon and Cannon, who had been standing in a line by the door. But because Fortune had jumped away from the door, the way was no longer blocked. Instinctively aware that he would be next, Goda dashed out through the door. Of course, Kumasawa also escaped with lightning speed chasing after Goda. And they're gone. As Gap snapped her fingers over and over, round black pitfalls opened one after another behind them, chasing them. However, they did nothing but drive the recklessly fleeing pair away. It couldn't swallow them up. Gold and Kumasawa escaped in a matter of seconds. I've gotten slow. I let 2 get away. Don't worry, we're currently locking onto the escape targets. Data link ready? Shall we snipe? No, I cannot authorize that. They are precious sacrifices. Wait for the Master's authorization. Right, Lord Goldsmith! Invite your orders! It's still too soon for the coming of the second twilight. It is what the source of my magical power is whispering to me. It must not be now. Let them do as they please. It isn't as though they can escape from this island. The source of the Master's magical power is noise and risk and test of luck. In other words, it means being fickle, it would seem. You, perhaps you could also put it that way. Good work, Gob. The silly advance the ceremony from here on. Well then, that is that. Next are my grandchildren. I will test them to see whether they are qualified to become my successor. Let's see how I shall test their qualifications. If you decide that they are qualified, you intend to abandon Beto's resurrection? Of course. And despite that, I will test them. Perhaps a woman cannot understand my contradiction, nor my madness. Well, apparently men are weird as ever.
リスクを
I don't
焦
get the very contempt of playing around with the risk.
おやおや
Oh my, I thought you loved that sort of
好き
thing.
かと思っておりましたが
もちろん
Of course.
男に
If a man whispers to me about dangerous risks in love,
恋をさ
I
せ
get head over heels.
キュンキュンしちゃうわただし
But only if
イ
he's
ケメンに
hot.
限る
At least she's honest.
お静か
Be
に
quiet.
死後は
Try to
土
refrain
に
from whispering.
実に
Truly
賢しい
noisy
奴ら
women.
だだが
But at least they aren't
少なくと
bored.
も退屈これだから
And this
召
is what
喚
makes
は愉
something so
快なの
pleasant.
だそなたらに
All you
は
will bear
我が
one
儀式
side
の
of the
ノイズ
scale
と
of
リス
noise,
クの
risk
天
in my
秤の片
ceremony.
側を担ってもらうぞそ
It
の
is a work I
働きに
expect
期
of
待
you.
している
6 brutally murdered corpses lay in the dining hall, and it was contaminated with red, gruesome decorations. It was how unimaginable that, until just a second ago, 13 humans had been arranged here in a well-organized manner. Kenzo lined up the famous demons and their subordinates, loudly declaring the beginning of a night of overwhelming mass murders, and swore to himself that he would certainly revive Beatrice and open the door to the Golden Land. And crack!
待たせたな
Girl, I cannot keep talking. It's been doing it for almost 3 hours, and it's almost 1 o'clock in the morning. Well, let's just look at our stats real quick. Oh, what's it say? Sakataro, Maria One-chan's precious friend. Very simple, warm and kind. Tends to say Uriel. Didn't Maria One-chan also have a habit of saying this long ago? Okay, they have not been marked as executed. He says. They all say the same. Oh, was Kenzo not here before? Goldsmith. Goldsmith is Kenzo's sorcerer's name. He's skilled as a summoner is legendary for the current era. His summoning ability surpasses even Beatrice at times. However, he is very mismatched, excelling in some areas while fatally lacking as a sorcerer in others. Magic with enough power to reheat a cup of black tea may be beyond him, but he's capable of summoning demons with magic strong enough to boil the sea. The source of his magic is found in an arithmetic miracles. His magical compendium is unique. Later on, even Beatrice took note of this and rearranged her own compendium later on, accordingly. Let's check out the new sister. Siesta 00. A weapon of the Siesta Cavalry, which serves Pendragon. 00 is their calm and composed leader. However, this is merely the role demanded of her, since she is far more frail by nature. 00 excels as a reconnaissance and serving as an advance guard, displaying extreme supremacy and unexpected encounters. However, her excessively powerful fighting strength has been called inhuman, and it isn't rare for her to be lynched around and abused when she surrenders on the battlefield. Her one eye slightly speaks of that. Virgilia, a now retired endless witch and Beatrice's teacher. She used the endless magic properly and devoted her life to the smiles and happiness of many people. She taught Beatrice the endless magic, believing that Beatrice would also devote herself to the people, and retired. Though she was Beatrice's teacher, she was also a magician employed by Beatrice's family. For that reason, she interacted with Beatrice in a manner fitting for a servant. Some point in this as the source of Beatrice's arrogance and recklessness. Renove, one of the 72 great demons, works for a master in exchange for various forms of compensation. He currently has a contract with Beatrice as her butler, head furniture. He's become proficient at housekeeping after serving in many households, so his ability as a butler is very high. In the high society of witches, employing him has become a kind of status symbol. Furthermore, the cookies he bakes are superb, and witches will often form a line demanding them. He must possess tremendous magical power, but since he always stays out of the spotlight to further boost his master's reputation, his combat abilities are unknown. Yeah. God dang. Is that even a dress? What is this? What is that? Yeah. One of the 72 great demons. Also Beatrice's friend. When the magician demands it, she grants the ability of instantaneous movement. Is that a Dragon Ball reference? She uses this extraordinary power for playing pranks, mostly. Her specialty is hiding keys in bags during busy mornings. However, in the context of closed room mysteries, this power becomes an ultimate weapon that can easily strike a finishing blow. Her queen bee strikes are likely to pierce any and all detectives, forcing them to surrender. Okay, we got some pretty cool new characters. Any tips? No tips, no tips. Alright, let's save that. Alright guys, I'm gonna go. I've been doing this for a long time. I'm glad I did over an hour stream. I'm done in a minute. Do I have a stream planned for tomorrow? I don't currently have one planned for tomorrow, but because I might go to the movies, may not. I don't know. After that, maybe something on Wednesday. That one's up for debate though. But I'll see you all sometime later. Have a good night, or evening, or morning, wherever you may be in the world, and I'll see you all sometime soon. Okay, bye bye. Any screen sign, just bye bye.